What would you do if a cop saw you swallow during a traffic stop and suddenly treated you like you were hiding evidence? Because in that second, your simple stop can turn into a drug investigation. And if you panic, your own words can make it worse. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to show you could keep a basic stop from turning into cuffs, a search, and hours of chaos. Tap like too, because when your heart starts racing, you'll want this burned into your memory. Here's what you're about to learn. You're going to learn what cops are actually watching when they stare at your face, your throat, and your hands. You're going to hear the exact words that stop you from handing over permission by accident. You're going to learn how to shut down those fishing questions without sounding rude or scared. And you're going to see how one hard swallow, one fast reach, or one nervous answer can make your night spiral. Here's the reality. I'm not telling you to hide anything or break the law. Don't do that. I'm telling you how to keep innocent movements from being twisted into something darker. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the pattern is always the same. The driver moves too much, talks too much, and gives away too much before they even know what just happened. Now let's talk about why this matters so much for you. Most people have no idea how fast a normal stop changes. You get pulled over, your mouth goes dry, you lick your lips, you swallow hard. You glance down, you reach for your wallet too soon. To you, that feels normal. To an officer, that can look like you just hid something, swallowed something, or shoved something under the seat. Then the questions change. Now they want you out. Now they want to know where you're coming from. Now they want to clear things up. That's the danger for you. Not just what they see, but what they think they saw. And once that suspicion starts, every extra word you give them becomes fuel. So your job is simple. Stay still, stay clear, stay polite, and never help them build a story against you. The first thing you do is kill the suspicious picture before it starts. If you get stopped, you want your hands high, your eyes forward, and your movements slow. If your mouth is dry, you do not turn away. You do not cover your mouth. You do not start digging in your pockets. You do not make sudden throat movements while looking down. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, my hands are on the wheel. I'm not reaching for anything unless you ask me to, word for word. Memorize that line. That one sentence tells the officer you're not playing games, you're not making sudden moves, and you're not trying to hide anything. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it lowers tension fast. Let me show you exactly why this matters for you. Officers are trained to look for clusters, not just one thing. A swallow by itself may mean nothing, but a swallow plus a shoulder turn plus a hand dip plus a delayed response can look bad. They watch your cheeks. They watch your throat. They watch whether your tongue is moving like you're trying to push something down. They watch whether you keep touching your mouth. They also watch if you start searching for papers before they even ask. That looks like you're buying time. So you want to break that whole picture immediately by freezing it. Bad way. Most drivers say, hang on, let me grab my stuff, then start reaching around. Then the officer thinks you're hiding something and the stop gets tense fast. Good way. Smart drivers say, officer, my hands are on the wheel. I'm not reaching for anything unless you ask me to. Then the officer has less reason to read your movements as a threat. This is 100% legal. You're allowed to control your own movement and speak clearly. In fact, it protects you. Pennsylvania versum. Mims said officers can order you out of the car during a lawful stop. In plain English, that means you usually don't win by arguing about getting out. You win by staying calm and making every movement obvious and safe. That's why this tactic works. You're not fighting the order. You're stopping the misunderstanding before it grows teeth. Watch what happens when you do this right. Your hands stay visible. Your breathing slows down. The officer has fewer furtive movements to point at. That just means sneaky-looking motions. And sneaky-looking motions are the exact words officers use later to explain why they got more aggressive. So don't feed that story. You want your body language to say the same thing your mouth says. Calm, clear, slow. If you really do need to get your license or registration, you wait for instructions and narrate it. My wallet is in my back pocket. My registration is in the glove box. Short, simple, no sudden magic tricks. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection in the first 10 seconds, because those first 10 seconds shape everything after that. Have you ever been so nervous during a stop that you started moving before you even thought? Drop a comment below, because that split second is where most drivers lose control without realizing it. Now let's get to the line that saves you from your biggest mistake. The second tactic is refusing consent, which just means refusing permission. Because once you give permission, you make their job easy. The officer might sound friendly. They might say, you mind if I take a quick look? They might smile and tell you it'll only take a second. They might even act like only guilty people say no. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. The whole question is designed to make you feel rude for using your rights. So you need a clean answer that is calm, respectful, and hard to twist. You look at the officer and say this: Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Those exact 8 words. Say them once. Say them clearly, then stop talking. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it leaves almost no wiggle room. You didn't argue. You didn't get loud. You didn't get cute. You just refused permission. And that matters because of a case called Schneckloth versus Bustamante. In plain English, that case says, if you voluntarily say yes to a search, the search can be valid even if you didn't fully understand you could say no. Read that again in your head. If you hand over permission, you may not get it back later. Ohio versus Robinette matters too. In plain English, it means officers can keep talking and ask for consent even after the basic stop seems over. So your protection is not waiting for them to be fair. Your protection is giving a clear no. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess that's fine because they don't want to seem guilty. Then the officer gets permission and your car is now open for business. Good way. Smart drivers say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then the officer has to rely on some other legal reason, not your own mouth. Here's the reality. A lot of drivers think saying no will automatically make the officer angry and guarantee a search. But if a search happens anyway, your refusal still matters. It can matter later in court. It can matter when a judge looks at what happened. It can matter when your lawyer argues that you never agreed. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. And it's why you never fill the silence with explanations like, there's nothing in there, or go ahead, I've got nothing to hide. Those lines help them, not you. Let me show you exactly how this plays out. The officer asks, it's casual. You answer like it's a boundary. No long speech, no fake law school lecture, just the line. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then if they repeat themselves, you repeat yourself. If they try to joke you into it, you repeat yourself. If they say they can get a dog, you still repeat yourself. Your job is not to win the argument. Your job is to never turn your rights into permission. Watch what happens when you stop over-explaining. The officer gets less material from you. Your position stays clean, and your words cannot be mistaken for a maybe. This is 100% legal, and it is one of the strongest lines you can carry into any stop. The third tactic is the one that stops the endless talking trap. Once the officer starts asking where you came from, where you're going, whether you swallowed something, whether there's anything illegal in the car, whether you've ever been arrested, you need to close that door. Listen closely because this is critical. Silence by itself is not always enough. You need to say it out loud. Here's exactly what you say. I choose to remain silent. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? Word for word. That line does two jobs for you at once. It tells them you're not answering questions, and it forces the stop into one of two lanes. Either you're still being lawfully held, or you should be allowed to go. This matters because of Salinas versus Texas. In plain English, that case tells you something important. If you just go quiet without clearly saying you're using your right to stay silent, that silence may not protect you the way you think. So don't rely on vibes. Use words. I choose to remain silent. Then ask, am I being detained or am I free to leave? That second part matters because of Rodriguez versus United States. In plain English, police cannot stretch a traffic stop longer than needed just to go fishing, unless they have a real legal reason. A fishing expedition is when they keep you there hoping you'll say something dumb or give them a new excuse. Bad way. Most drivers say, I already told you where I'm going, then keep answering every new question. Then the stop drags on and their own story starts getting picked apart. Good way. Smart drivers say, I choose to remain silent. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? Then the officer has a much harder time turning small talk into evidence. Here's why you need this in your mouth before you ever need it. When people get nervous, they start explaining. They say, I just swallowed because my mouth was dry. They say, I'm not on anything. They say, I was just reaching for my wallet. Every extra sentence gives the officer more chances to claim your story changed, your tone shifted, or your body language looked guilty. But when you use the line, you stop feeding the machine. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection once the stop starts moving from traffic issue to criminal investigation. And yes, you still stay polite. You still follow lawful orders. If they tell you to step out, you step out. If they tell you where to stand, you stand there. But your mouth stops volunteering information. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it shows you were clear, calm, and deliberate. You didn't obstruct. You didn't resist. You simply used your rights. And that matters for you later if the stop gets challenged. It also matters right there on the roadside because your clear language can stop the officer from pretending you were chatting voluntarily the whole time. That little phrase, free to leave, is powerful because it tests whether the stop still has a lawful purpose. If they say yes, you go. If they say no, you know you're still being held and you keep your mouth shut. Most viewers already clicked away. If you're still here, you're in the top 10%. Drop a comment saying, I'm still here, because the next move is the one people forget when the pressure gets real. If the stop goes bad and the officer starts accusing you, the fourth tactic is simple. You stop trying to talk your way out and you ask for a lawyer. Here's exactly what you say. I want a lawyer, and I am not answering questions. Memorize that line now, not later. Because later, your brain will be running on fear. You might think you can clear it up. You might think one more explanation will fix it. You might think saying, I didn't swallow anything, I just had gum will help. But once they think you were hiding or destroying evidence, your talking usually digs deeper. That's when you shut it down. Bad way. Most drivers say I can explain, then ramble for 5 minutes. And every little detail gets compared, challenged, and used against them. Good way. Smart drivers say, I want a lawyer, and I'm not answering questions. Then the guessing game stops coming from your own mouth. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings too. Miranda versus Arizona, in plain English, means you have the right to ask for a lawyer and stop answering questions during custodial questioning. That means questioning after you are in a situation where you're not free to just walk away and the pressure is real. Once you ask, stop talking. Do not ask, do you think I need one? Do not say, maybe I should get a lawyer. Be clear, I want a lawyer. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and one thing keeps showing up. The drivers who hurt themselves the most are not always the guilty ones. They're the talkers. They're the explainers. They're the people trying so hard to sound innocent that they bury themselves in contradictions. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it changes the dynamic. When you stop filling the silence, the officer has to rely on what they actually have, not what they can pull out of you. And if you're thinking, won't that make me look guilty? Remember this. Your rights are not admissions. Your rights are boundaries. Asking for a lawyer does not create evidence. Talking carelessly might. So if the stop crosses that line from questions to accusations, you stop trying to win them over. You preserve yourself. Now let's tie the law together in plain English so you can actually use it. Pennsylvania v. Mims means the officer can usually order you out of the car during a lawful stop, so your smart move is calm compliance and clear narration. Schneckloth v. Bustamante means if you give permission to search, that permission can count, even if you didn't realize how much you were giving away. That is why your no has to be clear. Rodriguez v. United States means the officer cannot drag out a traffic stop longer than needed, just to hunt for something new without a solid legal reason. So when you ask if you're being detained or free to leave, you're testing that limit. Those 3 cases fit your whole game plan. Stay calm, don't grant permission, don't help extend the stop with nervous talking. That's the framework. Simple, clean, and powerful. Now picture this in real life, because this is where you see the difference. You're driving home at night. You get stopped for a broken taillight. Your mouth goes dry. The officer walks up and shines a light right at your face. In the wrong version, you look down fast, swallow hard, start digging around for papers and say, hold on, I'm looking. The officer sees your shoulder dip and asks what you just put in your mouth. You panic and say, nothing. I just had gum. You can check if you want. Big mistake. Now you've moved too much, talked too much, and handed over permission. The stop stretches. More questions come. Maybe a dog gets called. Maybe you're standing on the roadside for the next 30 minutes because you never set a boundary. Now watch the right version for you. You pull over safely, you turn the car off, your hands go on the wheel. The officer walks up. Before you move, you say, Officer, my hands are on the wheel. I'm not reaching for anything unless you ask me to. When they ask for your license, you say where it is before you reach. If they ask what you swallowed, you do not explain. If they ask to search, you say, Officer, I do not consent to any searches. If the questions keep turning personal, you say, I choose to remain silent. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? If they escalate further and start accusing you, you say, I want a lawyer and I am not answering questions. Same stop, same you. Totally different outcome. In the wrong version, you help build the case. In the right version, you stop building it for them. Next video, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that line gets drivers pulled into searches every single day. So lock these points in your head. First, your body talks before your mouth does. So keep your hands visible and your movements slow. Second, never give permission by accident. Use the exact line refusing any search. Third, stop the question trap by clearly saying you choose to remain silent and asking if you're free to leave. Fourth, if the stop turns into accusations, ask for a lawyer and stop talking. You do not need to be rude. You do not need to be dramatic. You just need to be prepared. That preparation gives you power when your nerves want to take it away. Hit subscribe so you catch that weed smell video next. Smash that like button if this just gave you a plan you didn't have before. And drop a comment telling me which line you're going to memorize first. Stay safe out there.